we are also honored to have here tonight with us Cynthia Paniagua, one of the characters. So Cynthia, please join us in this. That question was meant to be answered by you. Thank you very much. So the question was pretty clear, right?
What's the difference or similarities?
Well, Afro-Cuban is, for us, we know it, the Latino influence in it, but this is not Latino, like it's no salsa, there's a very different quality to the dance, and yet it's called, but there is an Afro element to it. I just wondered if, I was saying it's very interesting, it was different and surprising.
Yes, a lot of people don't know the community even exists in Peru because we're used to seeing much Bijou and like panpipes everywhere, and it's not. It's more diverse than that. So the Afro-Peruvian element is amazing. It has some influence from Afro-Cuban dance, but it's totally genuine and it's original. It's totally Peruvian, and I know it has some influences from Angola, from Madagascar. There's so many different influences, but this goes back to the slave trade, where things started becoming a melting pot. And then it becomes just what it is for that moment. It's fusion, and then it becomes Afro-Peruvian dance, which now they started doing the whole tacking on Afro-Peruvian, because it's like Afro-Cuban, what do we call it? And so, but really, there's a lot of different dances to Afro-Peruvian, I guess, if you want to categorize. And everything's a mix between the African elements, and I say African loosely because there's specific countries on the East Coast, and actual Cuban dance has actually kind of revived certain elements in the dance now.
And what about the connections with hip hop?
Hip hop?
You are.
Okay.
I mean, you are from Queens, you're from New York, and you started, as you tell in the story, in the film, dancing, traditional Peruvian dancing, and also you went into the hip hop scene. How was it for you, that cultural shock of going into the depths of the Andes and that culture, the power of that? What it was for you to get in touch with that? As a dancer and artist.
It was something I had to put the whole Fulbright academic stuff on the shelf. I had to get rid of everything I've ever learned and just be like, let me drink the chicha, eat the food, laugh at the jokes, understand the jokes, just feel it, and just forget about all that. I'll get back to that later. Let me just absorb what I'm absorbing, and then when I come out, then I can maybe get academic about it. And which I couldn't. After coming out, it was like, okay, how do I put this amazing spiritual experience on a piece of paper? Very difficult. I was part of the hip hop scene not because I was a hip hop performer. Well, I was in a way, but hip hop is just a part of my life, just like many New Yorkers and many people around the world. And I think it has some similarities, actually. It's funny you mentioned that because you would think hip hop and wino, what's going on? But it's the fact that it's an expression, no matter where you go. It's an expression of where you're coming from, and it's affected by politics. It's affected by economy. It's affected by social issues, and so it's like this answer. We need to answer, and sometimes dance is the best way to do that.
I think we have a question over there. Is that right? Yes, again.
For a lot of these dances, what is the combination we're talking about of both the European Spanish element of the dance that might come over? Is that more of is there a real indigenous element to these two, or are these all mixes? How is that balanced?
Well, I was trying to figure that out. Exactly what you're saying. I got down there and I was like, I want to learn all the dances. Thinking there's probably 25 or something like that. But there's more than 1,000. So I was like, all right, how do I narrow this down? And imagine, more than 1,000 dances in Puno, there was more than 500 alone, just in that place. And so wherever you go, there's a mix. and sometimes there isn't, you know. I always try to find like what are the influences, you know, and we're talking about Spanish influence, like marinera supposedly. There's all these theories, you know. I wanted to find the truth, you know, the answer. What is, for example, marinera? What makes it, you know? And then there's people saying there's an African influence. They're like, I don't see an African influence. Then there's so many theorists. So I had to read all these books and figure out who's got it together and who doesn't. But there's always those three elements. There's the Spanish, there's the African element, and then there's the indigenous element, you know, the native element, whatever. But then in reality, I just kind of had to forget what percentage of this is in this dance. And it's kind of like you dancing in film, you know? My biggest mistake was that no matter how Peruvian I felt, okay, I guess here and I guess outside of Peru, and even in Peru, in Lima, you know, people are attracted to the exotic. So they want to see the exotic. They expect to see that. And my mistake was that I was looking for that original dance, you know, an untouched dance. I don't want to see Spanish influence. I don't want to see nothing. I want to see the native, you know, from thousands of years ago. And nobody but me gets to see that, you know. Somehow that was supposed to happen. The reality is that's not what it is. So the authentic dance is every dance because it's alive and it changes, and it's just one thing affects the other. So
there's a very interesting moment in the movie when at the Fiesta Patronal, the band is playing techno cumbia, and Nelly starts complaining about that, and before that you're sending a letter to her. You're referring to this, that traditions are changing, that you're already one of your cousins or friends is dancing breakdance in Peru, and the whole moment, I think, made you encapsulate in those few minutes all this reflection and analysis of what we were talking about. I mean, this hybridation, this combination of modernity and tradition, and the possibility of stopping change. So how do you feel like dancer and filmmaker about this? How much of authenticity is lost and regained through this process of having all this mixing of things, styles and elements?
About traditional dancing, something or
Can you relate to that?
Can I relate to
something?
Nelida and her opinion?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I guess, like I was saying before, I was looking for that. And whenever I saw, you know, like I was in La Fiesta de la Candelaria, and they're doing hip hop, you know, they're breakdancing. And I'm like, okay, next. But then I realized, you know what? After spending enough time and understanding, I can't, who am I, basically, to come here and expect to see things that I don't have in my life, you know? This is the globalized, this is what's going on, I mean, and so I have to accept that things change, but my main concern now is not to lose the essence, basically, of the tradition. So sometimes it happens, and that's the saddest part for me. But to accept new things for the younger generation, you know, sometimes they, like for example, the skirts you saw, they were short. Back in the day, they were down here. And now they're getting higher and higher. And all the girls are like, ooh, cute, I want to be in parade, you know? And it's weird, it's like, oh, that's not real, but it is real. And the competitions make people get involved, so it kind of brings in the younger generation. They're exposed to everything, you know? So I accept that as long as the essence of the dance doesn't change, or the essence of the music doesn't change, or the reason why people dance doesn't change.